Welcome to the Real Steel Podcast, where we talk all things Pittsburgh Steelers. No BS, just the real steel. I'm your host, Jeff. I am joined by my co-host, Polt. Polt, we're 1 week away from football, man. Week 1 is coming soon, and we got a lot to talk about. Break down some preseason. We got official rosters today, and I think we're about at that time where we can start looking to preview some of these games coming up. Got a good agenda for today. What do you think?
Yeah, man, I'm excited. It's fun that the season is finally here and preseason's over, so it feels like real football. Like you said, the real rosters are out, so we know our 53. Now, granted, there will be changes before week 1, which is a week away, but yeah, it's cool. College football's back, NFL coming back, fantasy drafts are happening right now. We're back in the fall swing, and I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, man. Do you draft any Steelers on your fantasy teams? Any
I
guys to
oh
be on the
I
lookout for?
Yes, actually, I have John Smith as my only tight end in one of the leagues, and I thought about doing Pat Fryermuth with him, so I had both, but I didn't do that. So, yeah, not too many. I actually have Caleb Johnson as well.
You know I'm always going Boz where I can in the end. Boz, and I think if you can steal or secure a Steelers D, that's going to be a good move there too.
Completely
A lot of
agree.
people don't go for us, but hey, I think Boz was a league winner last year, so that'd be my fantasy tip. Go for Boz where you can.
Yeah, and hey, maybe we didn't talk about talking about this, but maybe since you mentioned that, I think we should just reiterate again. Like Boswell is a stud.
Yeah,
I mean, he won the Steelers like 2 or 3 games last year. We know we talked about this with the contract, but they got to get that figured out. I mean, they cut Ben Sauls, which we'll talk about, but he's obviously going to play. But yeah, Boz is like one of the most important players on our team.
I totally agree.
All right, cool.
Let's go ahead and jump into it.
Yeah,
I'm actually, give me a second here because I'm going through my phone. I took some notes on this preseason game. I actually had the chance to go to Charlotte to watch the Steelers take on the Panthers for the third preseason game. And I didn't have very many takeaways, admittedly, but there were a few things I wrote down that I definitely wanted to share
yeah.
just from kind of seeing and being there in person. But I know you watched the game, so I actually want to turn it over to you to see if you had any thoughts or initial things to mention. Again, noting that it's just preseason, this is the third and final game for the Steelers, and we're not going to read too much into it. But what were your kind of high level takeaways or any thoughts that you had?
Man, that was actually a really hard game to watch. The first half was really, really sloppy, and I thought they
Yeah.
just didn't come ready to play, which was kind of interesting. And it was sloppy in all facets, dropping the ball, throwing interceptions, not making tackles. I mean, it was the starting defense, and they weren't really tackling very well. The first drive or two was pretty embarrassing tackling wise, but I think my main takeaway offensively was Skylar Thompson might be a better quarterback than Mason Rudolph. I don't know, that might be a bold take, but he looked way better. Mason just looked, I don't know, he looked uncomfortable, and I don't really know what to think of that. But we'll talk about it. Keeping Skylar was, I think, good for us. And then defensively, really getting to see the secondary. Jalen Ramsey in a Steelers uniform, Darius Slay out there, Joey Porter Jr. I, I think it's going to be different. We're not going to be worried about who's covering guys in the backfield like we have the last couple of years. And Jalen Ramsey is going to play a huge role in stopping the run as he had that big tackle for loss. So yeah, I thought it was really cool to see the starting defense. Offense kind of looked meh, but yeah, it was a preseason game.
Agreed. So I wrote down a few things, literally just one-liners, and I'll run through them really quick.
Yeah,
First of all, it was just fun. It was
yeah,
really cool. I had lower level seats with Patty, and we kind of just got to sit there and see the team. And
yeah.
the touchdown catch was right in front of us, so that
Oh,
was
that's
really
cool.
cool. It was just a good environment to be there in Bank of America Stadium where the Panthers play. It's actually a pretty nice stadium.
I
It's
like the stadium.
kind of a bummer that the Panthers suck. It's a pretty nice stadium. So that's
Yeah,
one. It was just kind of fun. Number two, Darnell Washington is freaking huge, man. Like that was
yeah,
the one thing I noted when looking at that offense was, I mean Mason's a pretty big dude as well,
yeah,
but Darnell Washington is really head and shoulders above everyone else. It's pretty incredible.
yeah.
My fun fact is that I actually was just scrolling through DraftKings earlier this weekend, last weekend, and I saw, that they had posted everything for week one, and Darnell Washington was like plus 2,200 to catch a touchdown in the first game against the Jets, and so I said I'm going for it. That might be a little spoiler for my bold prediction, but
I like
Darnell
it.
Washington's just exciting, man. It's cool to see a really really big guy out there, and he really is big. So that was my second point. Third point, a lot of flags. So like you said, it was
Man,
really really sloppy. There were a lot of flags right from the beginning. Four and five, Skyler looked really, really good.
really
I
good.
totally agree with everything you said. I don't know if I'd say he's better than Mason or not, but Skyler looked really, really well. And we're going to talk about this, but we kept him on our roster, and
Yeah.
everyone thought he was going to get cut. So that I think that speaks for itself. And then finally, I would say I do think I saw a little bit more of what I wanted to see out of Caleb Johnson. He looked like he was a little bit flashier. He was kind of hitting holes. It
Yeah,
was
for
cool.
sure.
He was returning some kickoffs, and that was fun to see, just to see kind of how agile or mobile he is. So I enjoyed watching him. So that's really it. Those are my five takeaways. I don't have any big picture things from the game. The only other thing that I don't think I even had the chance to tell you, I lost my terrible towel, man, and it was rough
Ooh,
because that terrible towel was actually signed by Max Starks like years ago,
dang.
and
What
that was
happened?
a I don't know.
Just lost
I
it?
think I lost it on the walk back home.
That
I
sucks.
woke up in the morning and couldn't find it, and that was kind of a bummer because that's a piece of me I've had for a while. But
Yeah.
maybe that's what needed to kind of be thrown away for us to have a fresh start, you know?
Hey, I appreciate you taking that one. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we need some change of juju, change of
Agreed.
scenery here.
So I have shifted my mindset now to I'm gonna buy a new terrible towel, and of course we have a couple, but
Yeah.
like I have my own that I need,
Yeah.
and maybe that gets us past the first round of playoffs this year. So we'll see how that goes. But that was the negative note to the Steelers Panthers game.
Yeah, and if you're not a real Steelers fan, you don't really appreciate how important that is. But those terrible towels are awesome and mean a
I don't
lot.
think we
So
have any not real Steelers fans listening to this, do we?
I hope not. If you're listening to this, you might as well. I hope you like the Steelers. So yeah, no, you're right.
Maybe.
But hey, I guess like just an overarching takeaway though from the preseason, just to put them all into one, I think would be how impressed I am with the offensive line.
Yeah. First
Maybe
team
not
offensive line for sure.
right. Maybe not from a run game perspective, but that's not really what we're worried about. We were worried about protecting Aaron
That's
Rodgers
fair.
and pass pro and moving Broderick Jones back to left tackle and Troy Fatanu playing right tackle. We were all really concerned about that. And I mean, clean pockets the entire time they played. So it's been all positives out of Broderick Jones and Troy Fatanu from everything you read, and that is a huge weight off our shoulders if that can continue into the season. So that was just my major takeaway.
Yeah, I like it. I'll say there was one thing that I had heard. It was actually on Ben Roethlisberger's podcast, and he said something along the lines of, if the offensive line
Right.
can let Aaron stay protected or let him sling it or whatever. And I was like, man, he has a little bit of skepticism there, which I don't necessarily get from that first game. But the offensive line needs to take a step up from where they were last year, and
Yeah.
hopefully they're able to. So I noted that too. They looked good, at
Yeah.
least the first team did in the snaps they played. So that was great. Let's let's jump right into the 53-man roster if you want to do that,
Let's do it.
because today is August 27th. We kind of just recently found out who our 53-man roster is. We found out who got placed on the practice squad. We can have 17 players on the practice squad, and I think we know 16 of those spots.
I agree.
I don't think we have the 17th. And one thing I just want to note, and I apologize if anyone's like, "Wow, Jeff, you're really stupid here," but I was curious to see, like, because there were some, I would say, big names that landed on our practice squad that maybe were surprise cuts.
Yeah.
And fortunately we were able to retain them. But I was curious, like, how many times they can come up and down between the practice squad, and what that ultimately looks like. And so I ended up looking it up. you can get elevated from the practice squad or called up 3 times during the regular season. So kind of you can go up and down 3 different times, but you can also get signed to the
Right.
active roster at any point. Now, what has to happen there is you have to lose a roster spot, right? Someone's got to go to IR, someone has to get cut, whatever it might be. Um, but you now have what, a couple more spots, a 55 person game day roster.
Yeah.
So you can have a couple more people active there as well. And then during the playoffs, that limitation is gone. So you can bring people from the practice squad as much as you want with no limitation. So I just thought that was interesting because I do think we're going to see some of the players that
Yeah.
went on to the practice squad being elevated because some of those guys played snaps for the Steelers last year
Right.
in the regular season. So I would anticipate some of that there. But yeah, sorry if that's a overkill, but I thought it was important and I learned a bit, so maybe a listener will.
I think it's important to note too that if you're on the practice squad, you are eligible to be taken by another team. So they are
Correct.
not just Steelers. They could be, if somebody wants somebody, they can just take them off the practice squad. So they're not fully protected, which is another key piece. And I think in general, when we talk about this 53, this isn't the end all be all roster. I think last year we went into week one with a 52-man roster. So there's a lot of changes a week out that could still happen. But this is where we're at after roster cuts and after the practice squads were announced.
Yeah. So let's go through it real quick. I mean, this
Yeah.
is an exercise that could probably take, a full hour to walk through, but let's go offense and then defense, and then we can kind of talk about maybe we just mention here any surprises, anything noteworthy. Starting on the offensive side of the ball, 4 quarterbacks: Will Howard, Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson. 3 running backs: Kenneth Gainwell, Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren. 5 wide receivers: Calvin Austin, DK Metcalf, Scotty Miller, Ben Skoranek, and Roman Wilson. 3 tight ends: Pat Fryermuth, Jonnu Smith, and Darnell Washington. Connor Hayward is listed as a tight end slash fullback.
Yep.
And then we have 9 offensive linemen: Calvin Anderson, Spencer Anderson, Troy Fautanu, Zach Frazier, Broderick Jones, Ryan McCollum, Mason McCormick, Andrus Peat, and Isaac Seumalo. What surprises you? What jumps out at you from that? And I'll start really quickly by saying what we had said earlier. 4 quarterbacks is pretty interesting. Now we know what's going to happen. Will Howard got moved to IR,
Yep.
and so that's allowing us to kind of keep 3 active quarterbacks with Rodgers, Rudolph, and Skyler. However, we have a really strong quarterback room there. And it'll be interesting to see how long that IR period is for Will Howard. And if
Right.
he does get elevated after 4 weeks or moved off of IR, who goes? Is it a quarterback that goes? Do we try and trade Skylar Thompson or Mason Rudolph midseason? Does something happen there within that full quarterback room? So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is interesting. Will Howard being on IR, obviously, like you just said, he means he's out 4 weeks. We'll see what his health really means. They did keep him the extra day today so that they didn't have to designate him for IR. I think you only have 2 or 3 guys that you can technically put on designated for IR, which they used one for Corey Trice. So Skylar Thompson, and we'll talk about Kent later, were both put on in that fashion. Yeah, 4 quarterbacks is really interesting. They putting Will Howard on IR allowed them to add Max Sharping, who they had cut previously yesterday. So he was a backup lineman that they got from the Washington Commanders practice squad last year. So they brought him back to give us a little bit more depth. They carry a lot of backup linemen, which is interesting, but we know how quickly injuries can happen there. So I think it's probably smart. The big thing is here is just the 5 wide receivers. With Ben Skoranek, who truly is a pass or a run blocking and special teams guy.
Special teams guy. Yeah.
Are we really going to run it with 4 wide receivers? Scotty Miller had a great preseason. I'm really happy for him to have. I don't know if you saw the little nugget. I think Alex Kozora posted it that he had a 53-yard catch in the preseason game, and they think if he didn't secure it already, secured his 53-man roster spot with the 53-yard catch, which is kind of cool. So, yeah, I don't know. Will they go out and get a 6th guy? And who gets cut then? Probably not a receiver. So that's I think, the biggest thing to me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I like when we keep six receivers, given kind of the versatility there with
Yeah.
special teams and being able to throw different guys in. And I think we had good receivers that showed out pretty well during preseason, so that was a little surprising.
Yeah.
I also gotta say, man, I am a little bit on the hate train. I don't know why Connor Hayward is still really on this roster.
I can tell
Go
you.
ahead, because I'm skeptical of what he actually brings to the
And
team.
and I'm glad I saw this right before we hopped on, because I was skeptical too. But he led the Steelers in special team snaps last year. He was second in 2022 behind Miles Killebrew in special team snaps. He has two onside kick recoveries, one block punt, two touchdowns, and he did start 12 games at various positions. So I think it's his versatility and his special team prowess, because we'll talk about it. We don't have, I mean, he's not a gunner, but we don't have a second gunner other than Ben Skoranek. So special teams, I think, was a really big roster focus that might have been missed in the initial 53, and Connor Hayward's a core special teamer. I guess we need to start thinking of him like a Miles Killebrew that's on the team for special teams.
Okay, fair enough, because
I
he's
didn't
a
know
guy
that.
that is just kind of, I feel like, I don't know,
I agree.
maybe it's his skill set rather than his actual like individual skill or proficiency,
Yeah.
um, which makes sense. Versatility is big. Versatility is big in the NFL. So, and Mike Tomlin likes that. So, okay, fair enough. Let's move to defense if that works with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Looking at the defensive line here, there's I'll bring this over to my main screen here. Eight guys on the defensive line: Keanu Benton, Yaya Black, Daniel Ecale,
Yep.
Derek Harmon, Cam Hayward, Logan Lee, Isaiah Loudermilk, and shout out to Esezi Otimu. Don't know him. Don't know that
I
guy.
don't know who he is either, but I'm
I know you
impressed
just
that
wanted me to butcher that.
I am impressed you even took a try at it because I wasn't going to.
Yeah. Let's get a little scoop on this guy. Do you have anything?
I'm looking him up
Osezi?
right now. He's 26 years old. Was played for Minnesota. Yeah, been in the league for 3 years. I actually also have no idea who he is.
Fifth round draft pick by the Vikings in 2022. Got waived by them. Got signed to the Jacksonville Jaguars practice squad. Um, and
Yeah,
hasn't
he was with
played since.
Jacksonville
So
last year. Yeah,
he must have had a good showing for the Steelers to be able to have confidence to bring him on, because um, if we don't know much about him, that definitely says a lot.
yeah, and I guess we should point out too that they probably kept in, because what you said they kept nine,
8.
three, eight. So they probably kept him as well because we know that Derek Harmon, which we didn't mention, got hurt in that last preseason game and is probably out at least a week or two, if not
Yeah.
up to like four, to start the season. So they do, and they're not going to put him on IR, so they don't think it's going to be four. So that's a roster spot. So they do need a seventh guy probably to give some depth, especially with Cam Hayward not practicing all preseason.
Yeah, I think I mean, quick search on Twitter here is looks like that Derek Harmon is really the reason that he was kind of brought on.
Yeah, makes sense.
6'5", 290, helps keep the defensive line fresh, right?
Yeah.
I mean, good for him. So um, that's great to see. Okay, moving on to linebackers here. One, two, three, six, nine linebackers: Carson Bruner, Malik
Yep.
Harrison, Nick Herbig, Alex Highsmith, Cole Holcomb, Patrick Queen, Jack Sawyer, T.J. Watt, and Peyton Wilson. Defensive backs: Brandon Eccles, Deshaun Elliott, Dante Kent, Miles Killebrew, Joey Porter Jr., Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, and Juan Thornhill. So 8 defensive backs and 9 linebackers. I'll tell you what jumps out to me pretty initially here is the cuts that we saw from both of these position groups, right? Mark Robinson from the linebacker group,
Yeah.
um, and we're missing who I thought was kind of going to be potentially a safety for the Steelers, Sebastian Castro. So that is kind of what stands out to me there. I think Carson Bruner is a guy who played his butt off during the practice season and found a way onto the Steelers 53-man roster. at linebacker. But what strikes you with these guys?
Yeah, Carson Bruner, seventh round pick out of us. He's going to be a core special teamer. He's another guy that they kept for special teams. In my opinion, I think he's going to be a stud there. He was a stud in college at Washington as a special teamer. So I think that's where he made his mark, along with Malik Harrison. Had a really good camp. We brought him in from the Ravens, kind of like Patrick Queen. I think he'll be good. Just my last comment on the linebackers, we only have 3 edge rushers, which is quite interesting considering Alex Highsmith has been hurt and Nick Herbig also is hurt. So I don't know if they're going to add somebody. I would assume they try and get somebody else in there, especially as we get closer to week 1 and we know their status is a little bit more. But I thought that was interesting. On the back end, it's worth noting they didn't just, I mean, they cut Beanie Bishop, they cut Chuck Clark. Those were 2 guys they cut. Now they did bring Chuck Clark back by putting Dante Kent on IR. So Chuck Clark is back, and I guess could compete for that second safety spot with Juan Thornhill. But yeah, Brandon Echols made the team over Beanie Bishop, and Beanie Bishop decided to come back on the practice squad, which I think is awesome for us. I'm kind of shocked. So, I mean, yeah, they moved on quickly from Beanie Bishop. It just shows how comfortable they are with Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr., and Brandon Echols. So, yeah, I think those are my main takeaways.
Couple other ones too, notable cuts. Now these guys are on the practice squad. I'll read through those names soon, but DeMarvin Leal, defensive lineman and an edge type position, and you mentioned Beanie. James Pierre was another cut too.
Yeah, right.
I think what this does is this essentially shows you exactly what you said, like how much confidence they have in that cornerback room that they felt they could get rid of some of these guys who were in some cases starting for the Steelers in games last year. So I think that's pretty noteworthy.
Now, I will say, I mean, and I made this comment earlier, and this has been a whole special teams segment for me, but it does look like James Pierre will very, very well get the call up at least week 1, 2, and 3 while we figure out our roster situation to be that second gunner, because that's what he was last year, and he is pretty good at it, and we don't have anybody else to do it. So I think he's going to be an obvious call up week 1, but we'll see about the other guys.
Okay. Let's round it out here with special teams because there's also a notable thing to talk about here as well. Chris Boswell at kicker, Christian Kuntz at long snapper, who I believe we said is injured, so we kind of got to see what happens there.
No, I think just to, not to cut you off, I think that means he's okay for week 1 because they cut the other long snapper that they signed, so that must mean he's okay.
Okay, perfect. And punter, the big story here is Corliss Waitman makes the team over Cam Johnson. So I think what stands out to me there pretty significantly is that Corliss Waitman won this punting battle, and it truly was a punting battle. I very firmly believe, and if you go back a couple episodes, I might even have said it, that I think they're making it out to be a competition, and it really wasn't a competition. I had in my head that Cameron Johnson was going to make the team.
Me too.
Corliss was going to go. But sure enough, that was not what happened at all. And I have a stat here, if I can find it, from the preseason that Corliss Waitman was first in the NFL in preseason punts with 4.84 seconds hang time.
Yeah.
Cameron Johnson was tied for 30th in the preseason, 4.2 seconds. Now, again, preseason is preseason. I don't know how many punts each of those guys had, but from what I saw in the Carolina game, they both rotated. They both had their chance to go and punt. And I think this is a really good thing because this tells me that the Steelers front office and coaching did a great job of picking the better player to make the roster and not going with that bullcrap relationship thing that we've always done, right?
Yeah.
We paid Cameron Johnson a pretty significant amount to come in on a 3-year contract. And last year he got hurt and this year he got cut. So it would have been, a fine financial move to say we're going to keep Cameron Johnson, but Corliss Waitman played his heart out in the preseason and punted really well, and good for him. Good for that guy because he was a great punter for us last year when he had his act together. and hopefully he'll be able to do the same again this year. So
Yeah, it is interesting because Corliss Waitman's more of the boomer bust type punter, right? You could get the bombs, but you could also get the shanks. Whereas I think Cameron Johnston is more of a he might not give you those bombs, but he's more of the steady Eddie kind of guy,
consistency. Yeah.
consistent punter. But there are some interesting like details to this, right? The Steelers did save $1.5 million by cutting Cameron Johnston, so they went with the cheaper option, which why are they saving all this money? They have like 30 million in cap space or 20 plus million in cap space. What are they doing? I don't know. But the big thing is Corliss Waitman was supposedly brought up in trade talks. The Saints supposedly reached out to try to trade for Corliss Waitman and the Steelers said no. So if you had two guys that you liked, one being a little bit more expensive, and you could have got some kind of capital or something for the other guy and you said no, that must mean you really liked the guy. So I think that's a significant sign there too. So I just wanted to point that one out too.
Yeah, no, great point. I almost want to kind of search Twitter to see, if Ben Sauls or if Cameron Johnson are going to get picked up at all by anyone. I mean, there's certainly that possibility as players get hurt throughout the season. But yeah, I mean, great point. I'm just happy to see that. Like, I feel like the Steelers made
Yeah,
a positional move that was not based on relationships, like that, like I said. And so I feel like that's almost bringing in like this new wave of, I don't know,
I
of
agree.
an attitude, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And then the round out like the returners. I mean, it's interesting. Calvin Austin is the main punt returner, which we kind of expected. But then they have Kenneth Gainwell and Jalen Warren as our two kick returners. So I think Gainwell might have returned kicks for the Eagles last year. I'm not entirely sure. And I know Warren's done it for us. But those two back there, two of your three running backs, is pretty interesting.
Yeah. So during the preseason game, I saw Kenneth Gainwell and Caleb Johnson back there.
Okay.
So it's interesting that your RB1 Jalen Warren would be back there. We need to talk a little bit about that when we kind of get into our preview and maybe some stats that you're thinking about, because
Yeah.
Jalen Warren is very, very interesting,
Yeah.
and I don't quite know how I feel about this backfield yet, but we'll
I
see.
agree. Yeah. You want to get
Okay,
into the practice squad?
yeah, let me read through these practice squad names really, really quickly, and if there's anyone you want to kind of call out, we can. Um, Two running backs, Trey Sermon and Lou Nichols. Three wide receivers, Robert Woods, Keyshawn Williams, and Max Hurlman, who is kind of that star
Yeah.
undrafted rookie free agent.
And they cut Robert Woods, and he decided to come back, which is really I don't know. I don't think he'll be there long, but it's interesting. He chose a practice squad spot.
Yeah, yeah. Tight end J.J. Galbraith. He also had a really, really strong preseason in
Yep.
camp with the Steelers. Two offensive linemen, Stephen Jones and Dylan Cook.
Which
I
Stephen
think
Jones
those,
supposedly has been really good in camp and was like on the cusp of making the team.
yeah, and Dylan Cook is a notable
Yeah.
depth piece as well. Um, Defensive line, I mentioned DeMarvin Leal, but Kyler Baugh as well. I don't know who Kyler Baugh is. And Julius Welschoff at edge. Beyond that, five guys in the secondary. Beanie Bishop, James Pierre, Deshaun Jameson, Daryl Porter Jr., so another Porter Jr., and then Sebastian Castro. And that leaves one open spot. So that's
Yep.
16 out of 17 guys. I don't know what that 17th position will be. Um, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. They're probably waiting for all the fallout of who everybody signs and stuff like that. The one big thing here is that people are questioning is the edge rusher who was pretty good in preseason for us. Eku, I can't find his name. But people thought that they might keep him on the 53. We ended up cutting him and didn't bring him back on the practice squad. So maybe he's one of the guys that get in there as the 17th if he doesn't make an active roster. But yeah, pretty interesting.
For sure. Okay. I think we got a little bit of time, maybe just to roll into kind of some season preview, some week one preview.
Yeah,
What
I
do you
guess we
think?
should. I guess we should mention just general roster moves. It sounds like we're all over a wide receiver, like we have been for the last two
Yeah,
seasons. They were in for MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and he chose the 49ers over us.
I don't know if they were
Um,
actually in though.
well, the rumor is they've called about Jacoby Myers from the Raiders. Let's put it this way: I don't think they're done. I, I think the roster will change before week one. How much, I don't know, but I don't think they're done just yet.
Okay. Okay. I
But
don't know if I agree, but
they got some maneuvering to do, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
all right.
All right, we can move into some previews.
Yeah, let's let you take the wheel here because I know that this is a little bit of your bread and butter in terms of some things we've done in the past and some things that you like to do. So you take it away.
Yeah, I mean, what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the season long preview? You want to start with stats? You want to start with games? What do you want to start?
Let's start with stats. Since we just
All
talked
right.
about players, I like the idea of talking a little bit about some of the players and what our outlooks are, what we're thinking.
Okay, so we did this last year, or I think maybe even the last 2 years, where I came up with some questions and we give our predictions for the year. So I have 15 questions here. It's pretty heavily offense, but it's sort of split down the middle. And we'll both give our answers here. So, first one being Aaron Rodgers over under 25 pass touchdowns. He had 28 last year.
Yeah, and the Steelers had how many last year? Under 20?
Oh, give me 1 second and I can give you that answer. Yeah, I mean, it
Nonetheless,
wasn't
I
good.
think we hit it. No. I
They had
think we're
21
over.
last year.
So I think Aaron Rodgers is over 25 this year. I do
I
think that
agree.
happens.
I agree. That was my prediction as well. Okay, sticking with Aaron Rodgers, over under 4,000 passing yards. So
Under.
in comparison, the Steelers quarterbacks combined for 3,200 last year. Aaron Rodgers had 3,897.
Yeah, I think you can have a high production from a touchdown perspective and not a ton of yardage. Calvin Austin I view as kind of our deep threat, and I also think DK can stretch the field, but
Yeah.
I haven't really seen it to believe it that we're going to be making huge, big splash plays. And so for that reason, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be putting up, you know, 350, 400-yard games pretty consistently. I feel like he's going to be a 250 yard on a good game with maybe a couple touchdowns tossed. So I think under the 4,000 mark.
That's fair. And to be honest with you, the kind of offense we're going to play would lead us not to throw for a lot of yards. But I think it's going to change. I mean, we threw for 3,200 last year with a pretty pitiful passing attack. I think they're going to put a little emphasis and let Aaron throw it a little bit. And I do think we see a little shift in philosophy. We're still going to want to run the ball, but I think a little shift. And so for that reason, I'm going to give him over 4,000 yards. Obviously I said over 25 touchdowns and over 4,000 yards. I'm thinking a big season, maybe on his way out for Aaron Rodgers.
Just for reference, there were
Yep.
6 quarterbacks last year who surpassed that 4,000 yard mark. Just so
Really?
you're
All right
aware.
then. All right. Yeah, I
Joe
wasn't aware
Burrow,
of that.
Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, and Lamar Jackson.
How many were
Mahomes had
close?
30. Mahomes had 3,900. Aaron Rodgers last year, like you said, had 38. Justin Herbert had 38. Brock Purdy had 38. Kyler Murray had 38. And then you have 4 or 5 at 37. So that gets you to about half the league that is over probably 35, 3,600. But that 4,000 mark is a big one to eclipse.
Yeah, I forgot this isn't the couple years ago when everybody was throwing for almost 5. I'm going to stand by it. I
Hey,
don't care. I'm standing by it.
it's inked in. It's inked
It's
in.
already in there. All right. Well, now we're going to switch philosophies here. Who's going to be our leading rusher?
This is a really good question, and I think it's worth, out of these 15 questions you have, maybe a little bit of a discussion.
I agree, and it goes into what you mentioned earlier with Jalen Warren. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think I know what you're gonna say, and I think I'm gonna disagree, but I'm gonna say Jalen Warren. Um, and I think that's gonna come from a little bit of stubbornness with the offensive team.
Sure.
Or with on the offensive coaching side of the ball. I think Jalen Warren is going to start the season as our RB1, and I just don't think he's going to get a ton of production out of what he's been given. I think what we're going to struggle with is seeing who actually becomes our third down or our pass catching back, and it's going to be a little bit of a fight for that between, I would say, Caleb Johnson and Kenneth Gainwell, in my opinion. So I don't think that Jalen Warren is going to have a 1,200 yard, 1,000
Yeah.
yard necessarily rushing season, but I think that you might have two guys behind him that have 300 or 400 or 500 yards. So I think there's going to be a little bit of a battle for what's ultimately going on, and maybe it's split almost even three ways instead of being just split two ways. Um, I don't know if I love the idea, and I don't know how much faith I have in Jalen Warren, but I think he is actually going to be our RB1 for the majority of the season. I don't know if I agree with it or if I'd like that, but that's what my gut tells me. So I think he'll lead the team. I don't know if you feel the same way.
In reference, so Najee had 1,000 yards, 1,043 yards last year. It's a 1,000-yard season, and then Jalen Warren had 511 in
Yep.
two less games and half the carries basically. No, I mean, you knew what I was going to say. I mean, I think Caleb Johnson's going to lead the team, but I actually think it's a different battle than maybe you do. I think Kenneth Gainwell has the third down back kind of hammered down. He's a good pass blocker. He's really good out of the backfield catching the ball.
I think it's an RB1 battle.
I think it's an RB1 battle because of a couple of things. Caleb Johnson, there's been a big emphasis on him catching the ball. He was really bad early in camp. He's gotten better now and did pretty well in the third preseason game. But I don't know if he's really that receiving threat like we want him to be. And I really think that the battle comes down to that RB1 because Jalen Warren, as he did in the preseason game, has had a fumbling problem. And I am concerned that fumbling will be his biggest downfall and might get him out of the spot. I think he's a little bit more explosive than Caleb Johnson, but I think Caleb Johnson's a better pure running back. And so if it's as close as that, whoever can hold the ball might be the deciding factor. And Jalen Warren has struggled with holding the ball. Let me see. I think he only had 2 fumbles last year, but I know he fumbled in camp, and I know he's been having some preseason fumbling issues. So,
Yeah,
I mean, we'll see. I love Jalen Warren. I want him to do well.
Sure.
But I do think Caleb Johnson is going to end up taking the throne here and leading the team. Do I think
And
they're
I
going
would
to get
welcome that.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what I would want to see, actually. Maybe I shouldn't say want to see. Of course, I want to see Jalen Warren succeed. But if Caleb can step in and be a bell cow back, like that's freaking awesome. But
Right. I mean, and I guess maybe I'll add another question here, just real like, do we think anybody gets over 1,000 yards?
I don't think so.
Me neither.
I don't think we have 1,000-yard rusher this year.
No, I don't either. I think it's a combination of the offensive line, like we said, has been kind of poor running the ball so far in like the preseason, but also like it's going to be a committee. It's going to be Jalen Warren and Caleb Johnson with some Kenneth Gainwell in there as well. So yeah, I just don't think there's the opportunity to get that.
Yeah, and that's not an unfair thing to say because you look at last year, there were half the league had 1,000-yard rusher and
Yeah.
half didn't. So
Right. And Najee had 263 carries. Like that's a lot.
it is. It's a lot
So-
of volume.
So
Yeah.
we'll see. All right, cool. I like the little disagreement there. All right, moving on to receiving. DK Metcalf, over under 1,000 yards.
I think he gets it. I do think he gets 1,000 yards.
So for reference, he had 992 last year. Now he did get hurt, I believe, and Pickens only had 900. I also think Metcalf gets there. If I say Metcalf doesn't get there and I say Rodgers is throwing for 4,000, then I just look like an idiot. So Metcalf is going to get there. This is a better question though, sort of like the running back. Who is second in the team in receiving yards?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Pat Freiermuth.
He was second last year.
Yeah, and I feel like I said that last year as well, or I might have. I'm really, really high on our team's tight end room this year.
So are you not scared of Jonnu Smith taking yards from Freiermuth?
No, I think that certainly could happen, but I feel like we're going to be in, 3 tight end sets a lot and have
Yeah.
both of those guys go out. I think Calvin Austin, if he's healthy, is going to be a potential like big play or not guy. Like he's going to come in with like a 2-catch, 130-yard game.
He was third last year.
Yeah, or he's going to have, 2 catches for 13 yards. And I just don't know what level of confidence I have with Roman Wilson yet to be able to speak anything about him. I think Pat is, Aaron Rodgers loves his tight ends. Pat's kind of, a pretty consistent guy. And we haven't seen anything out of Jonnu Smith other than what we know about him in Miami. And Arthur Smith loves the guy and he had a great year in Miami. But
Yeah.
I don't know if that means that kind of Pat is tight end 1 and Jonnu's 2, if they're always going to be on the field together. I really don't know. But I think I would go with Pat for number 2. What about
Okay.
you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with another kind of bold one here. I'm going with Roman Wilson.
Okay.
I think it's a breakout party. Calvin Austin averaged 15 yards a catch last year, so I mean he doesn't have to have as many, and he can get a lot of yards. So we'll see if that comes back to bite either of us. But I think Roman Wilson takes a huge step here.
Love it.
All right, who's the leading receiver in touchdowns?
You know,
And I want this to be touchdowns.
yeah.
Or I mean, sorry, receivers, like wide receivers.
Okay, then I'm gonna say decaf. DK Metcalf. Decaf coffee. That's
Decaf
his,
coffee.
yeah, I think it's gonna be DK. I feel pretty strongly about that. I
So
think he's
Calvin
like,
Austin actually led the team last year. He had
yeah,
four.
fair. Four. That's such wow.
I
That's
know.
what a bummer. There were there were over 50 guys in the NFL who had more than four receiving touchdowns last year.
That's crazy.
Um, there were one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine guys who had double-digit touchdowns
Now Fryermuth led the team, um,
with seven.
but with seven, yeah.
Yeah, I think DK. I think DK.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with Calvin Austin. I think he's going to have some bombs. I think DK is going to open it up. The tight ends underneath are going to open up, and he's going to have some bombs. I don't think it's going to be a lot, but I think it's going to be around that 4 or 5 range. Because then that leads me to my next question, which I think is where we both would have headed if I didn't specify. Who has more total touchdowns, wide receivers or tight ends?
Tight
For
ends.
for reference, last year it was even. It was
Yeah,
10 to
tight
10.
ends for me. I think
Uh,
tight ends.
I agree, and you don't have to say who you think going to lead that because the next question will lead us there. But I just think they're going to use three tight ends, like you said, a lot.
Yeah.
And Jonnu Smith, Darnell Washington, and Pat Fryermuth are just such great options in the red zone. Pat Fryermuth had 7 touchdowns last year. Darnell only had 1, but Pruitt and Hayward also had 1. So if you throw Jonnu Smith in there, I think it really really bumps up.
Yeah. All right, so you're gonna ask me who of that tight end group leads it?
No, I'm going to ask you over under 4.5 for Darnell Washington.
Oh, wow, that's a really tough question because I like the 2.5 or the 3.5 line. 4.5 is a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
How much do you like Darnell Washington? He had 1 last year.
a lot, but I'm gonna take the under on that. I think 4.5 is a lot when I think we want to
So what about 3.5?
get other players involved. You can't just change the line on me like that.
But if it was,
I think Darnell Washington is gonna get like 3 touchdowns this year.
okay,
That's my guess. I would love to see him have like 10, but I'm looking at last year just as a point of reference. Mark Andrews had 11 touchdowns.
yeah,
George Kittle had 8. Jonnu last year had 8.
and Fryermuth had 7.
Fryermuth had 7. Zach Ertz had 7. So there are tight ends that are on this list, but not at the frequency in which wide receivers are. And I think that goes to show like Rodgers says he's developing connections with the tight ends, but developing a connection with DK, developing a connection with
Yeah.
Roman Wilson. You're out here thinking that Calvin Austin is going to be a. I don't mean. I don't mean.
No, no, no. I know, no, I know,
But,
no.
but like we think Calvin Austin is going to be a player who's going to stretch the field and get some deep balls. So
Yeah,
as much as I would love to say, yeah, I think Darnell Washington is going to have 5, 6, 7 touchdowns. I don't think it's going to happen. I do think we're going to throw him a lot of fades.
yeah.
And he's going to be someone we look for. But will I throw a touchdown bet on Darnell Washington every week for like plus 2,000? Probably.
He's only 950 week 1 now, but
Oh, dude,
still
I got
good.
in good then. I must have been like messing with the lines
Yeah, he's
for
an
that bet.
anytime scorer plus 950 right now for week 1. But
What are
I
you
mean
looking at, DraftKings?
on DraftKings, yeah,
I got to tell you what I got because this is, I mean, I don't want to jump to it, but that's like I said, that's my bold prediction.
yeah,
For week 1. I think he's gonna get it.
yeah.
But let me see if I can find it because
I mean, and while you're looking it up, I think the counter argument to what you're saying is I mean I agree with everything you're saying, but if I would play devil's advocate, it would be, well, how many teams are going to actually play 3 tight end sets as often as
true,
we probably will? I
true.
don't think anybody.
You put a safety on 6'8" Darnell Washington, like you're not gonna be able to get that. All right, I lied a little bit about it being like plus 2,200, but it's not plus 900. I got it at plus 1,700.
Wow,
So I got $5 to pay out 90 if it
that's
hits.
awesome.
I should say
Yeah,
when it hits, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's
when
talk
it
it into
is.
existence.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, that's
All
the
right, keep
last question
rolling.
I had on offense. Did you want to say who you think's going to lead as the tight end, or move on to
I think
defense?
Pat. I think Pat's gonna lead this room.
Okay.
And I honestly hope that I get surprised
Yeah.
or hope that I get proven wrong because I would love to see Jonnu have the production that he had last year.
Okay.
Um, Jonnu had, I think I said
You said
seven
eight.
touchdowns,
You said
eight
eight. Yeah.
touchdowns. He had 884 yards last
Yeah.
year. Like he was right behind Tyreek Hill in terms of the Dolphins' leading receiver. So
Yeah.
um, I'd love to see that production out of him. And Arthur Smith likes him, so
Yeah. He does.
we'll
All
see.
right, moving to the defensive side. There's one, two, three, four, five questions here. Starting with our superstar, TJ Watt, the highest paid non quarterback in the game right now. Over under 15 and a half sacks. For reference, he
Mm.
had 11 and a half last year, 19 and 23, 5 and a half in the injury ridden 22, 22 and a half, 15, 14 and a half, 13-7. So it's kind of right in his average. His average, actually, his 17 game average is 15.2.
Yeah. Um, this is obviously a big question, conditional on if TJ stays healthy.
Yeah, agreed.
But I'm gonna go with kind of the optimistic homer pick, and I'm gonna say over. Um, I don't know if I think he's gonna have more than 17 or 18 sacks this year.
Yeah,
Um, but can he hit 15, 16? That's one a game.
right.
We've seen games with multiple. We've seen game with duds too. So I don't know. The thing is, when he gets going, he gets going. So
Yep.
I'm gonna root for it, and I hope it happens. I'm gonna take that over.
Okay, well, so last episode I said that he was going to lead the league in sacks with over 18 and a half sacks. So I'm going to say he's well over 15 and a half,
All
more
right.
in that 19-20 range. All right, who is second in sacks? I think this is a really interesting question. Cam Hayward last year was second with 8.
Yeah.
Now Highsmith only played in 11 games.
I really like going with Nick Herbig here.
Yep.
I think he showed a lot as kind of that extra edge rusher. And I feel like he's, a good candidate in that. I think he's going to have more than some of those core defensive line guys. Um, I don't know what his stats were last year. I'll see if I can find them.
Herbig, he had
Yeah,
5.5,
yeah.
and
So
Highsmith only had 6. So
yeah, I'm gonna take Herbig.
And I think he's going to get some burn there. I mean, those guys, I think we said we hope they give some breath. Now, like I said, they only have 3 edge rushers to start the year, so that doesn't really play into them getting out of the game. But I was going to say Nick Herbig. That's who I think. But just to be different, I do think Cam. Cam's got a chip on his shoulder right now. He had 8 last year, had an unbelievable year. Maybe he turns back the clock one more time. So I'll give it to Cam Hayward just to be different.
Okay.
All right, into the secondary. Over under 3.5 interceptions for Jalen Ramsey. And actually, the next 2 questions are both about Jalen Ramsey. So over under 3.5 for Jalen.
Under.
Under. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have. I could pull it up real quick. Hold on. Jalen Ramsey's stats. He had only 2 last year.
2 last year.
In his career, though, he had 2, 3, 4, 4, 1, 1. So, yeah, it's been since 2022 since he got 4. I think he's going to go over. And here's why. I think he's going to have some opportunity to play safety. And playing in the slot, I just think he's going to be around the ball maybe a little bit more, and they're going to throw towards him a little bit more. And I think he's gonna make a huge impact. So I'm going to say over.
Okay.
All right, now I'm changing this one on the fly because I realized it was a terrible line. Jalen Ramsey over under 25% of snaps at safety.
It's a weird question, man.
I
It's
know,
weird.
I know. It's a hard one, but in comparison, last year he played, and I went off of his in the box snaps. So he played 8% in the box last year for the Dolphins. And he was not, I mean, they claim he had a slot corner size safety, 185 snaps, but I don't know what that means. So as a real safety,
Yeah, 25 just seems like a lot. I'm gonna go under.
yeah, I know. It probably should have been more like 15, right? But I agree. Under is the number.
Snap counts are a weird bet. You gotta. I
I
don't
just,
know, man.
I guess the point there was I do think he's going to play a lot, especially with Juan
Sure, I agree.
Thornhill
I
being
agree.
our
And you look at
second
what
guy.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't trust that they're going to just roll out Juan Thornhill all
Yeah.
game, every game. So, okay. A better one, which you already answered this last time, but tackle leader. You said Peyton Wilson. Do you stand by that?
Yeah, why not? Let's ride a little bit. I think Patrick Queen's probably an easy answer there. I'd like to see a little bit of a push from Peyton Wilson. I think he's going to be a core player.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually disagree and go with Deshaun Elliott, who was actually second on the team last year with 108 tackles. And Minka Fitzpatrick had 96 as well, so we lose a 100 tackle guy. I think Deshaun Elliott might lead the team in tackles, which me saying that sounds horrible coming out because that means they're going to be in our defensive backfield a lot. But whatever, Deshaun Elliott. All right, now to your cup of tea. Chris Boswell,
Bring it
longest field goal, over under 58 and a half.
under.
He had 57 last year.
Yeah, yeah.
You were adamant last year he would go over. I don't remember. I could pull up what we asked last year, but it was right in that same range. You think under?
Listen, it's a different question if you ask, can he do it or will he be able to do it? I think Mike Tomlin, pardon my French, is a little bit of a bitch. So I don't think Boz is going to get an opportunity to kick a 58-yard field goal this year. Um, I certainly think he could nail it, but
That was the
you know,
exact
look,
question we said last year. It was 58 and a half, and he had a 57. I'm
yeah,
going over. For the record, I'm going over. We're going to flip from last year. I
do it,
said under last year,
do
and
it.
you said over. We flip.
9 guys last year hit over a 58 and a half, and then there were 6 guys last year who hit a 58. Um, so it's
We
certainly
play.
possible.
I mean, we play in
Opportunity.
Detroit. We play in Detroit. We play the Colts at home. I mean, we play in Detroit, so maybe it's indoors or something. Or I'm thinking maybe like a end of the game, end of a half situation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, over under one or over under a half return touchdown. Calvin Austin had one last year. Do we get one this
Yeah,
year?
I think we're getting one. I think we're getting one. A
Okay.
punt or kickoff?
Yeah, either or.
I think we're getting one.
All right, I said under. I don't think we get any. They're
Yeah,
hard to do.
Danny Smith is going to make it happen.
I love that guy. All right, well that's all I had.
Cool. I know we're running close to an hour here,
Yeah.
so I say we do a little bit of a preview for week one.
Do you want to visit
New
just
York
your
Jets.
prediction? What you think the record's going to be since this is our last episode before
Yeah,
the
you
week
know
one
what?
recap?
I think without going through the schedule,
Yeah.
I think this is a 10 win team. I think this is a 10-7 Pittsburgh Steelers team, similar to our record last year. But I think we're a 10-7 team that makes the playoffs. Um, it's a matter of when we get hot and when we
Yep.
don't.
Yep.
That's going to be kind of the telltale sign. But um, hey, we're going to play close games. That's how I feel. We have some really tough opponents down the stretch. Our last few games: Bills, Ravens, Dolphins, Lions, Browns, Ravens. That's a
Yeah.
really really tough end to the schedule. So
Yeah.
um, 10-win team. I think I might have said 9-8 at the beginning of the year, but
You might have, and I think I said 10-7, but I'm gonna go with my stupid optimism once again, and I'm gonna say 11 and
13-4.
6,
What do you say?
11 and 6, 11 and 6, and the reason it's 11 and 6 instead of 10-7 is, and I know I'm gonna get burned by this, I have us beating the Browns twice because I just think the Browns are not gonna be a good
Abysmal.
team.
Yeah,
Right,
and Aaron Rodgers ain't going to tolerate it. Kenny Pickett can lose one to the Browns.
right,
Mason Rudolph can lose one to the Browns.
yep,
Duck can lose one to the
right,
Browns.
but not Rodgers.
Mitch Trubisky, but Aaron
Yep,
Rodgers ain't going to do it.
I
You're
agree.
right.
I
You're right.
agree,
I
and
like
so
that.
that's what puts me to 11 and 6. I actually think they start the season 5-0. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think 11 and 6, and I think they're an easy playoff team. Not easy, but they'll make the playoffs.
All right, sounds good. What about the division? That's my question to you. Do we win the division?
No,
Baltimore?
Baltimore. I just think they're too good on paper. They're maybe besides the Eagles, they're probably the second best team on paper. We know they'll choke and they probably won't win it all, but I think they'll win the division.
All right, fair enough.
All right, week one.
Ready to talk this game?
Holy cow! Yeah, I can't believe it.
Okay, so week one, September 7th, 1 p.m. game in New York. Call it the Aaron Rodgers 2.0 revenge game because we are going to get the Aaron Rodgers 1.0 revenge game against
Kind
Green
of funny.
Bay, although that's a home game this year. This is in New York
Yep.
against the Jets. Steelers are opening actually as favorites in this game, 2.5 point favorites. And
Yep.
also what's worth noting is this is a Justin Fields revenge game. Maybe a Justin Fields also 2.0 revenge game, given he's played for a couple different teams now. So I feel pretty good about the Steelers kind of going into MetLife and being able to get the job done here. I don't give scores like you do, but I like that we open as favorites.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good, on the road to be a 2.5 point favorite. I feel like that means that the odds makers feel pretty strongly about us. I'll tell you the only thing that I do feel like is surefire to happen in this game
Oh.
is that 3-and-out right from the get-go. That first 3-and-out, it's gonna hit us, and it's really gonna light a fire under our ass. But no, I feel pretty good about what this management and what this coaching staff has done for this team. I've come completely 180 from where
Yeah.
it was, but I want to see Rodgers. I want to see what this wide receiver and tight end group has. I want to see the offensive line in its true state.
Yeah.
And this defense is going to be really, really fun to watch. If we're able to lock down Garrett Wilson, who's kind of a New York's all-star wide receiver,
Yep.
and whether that's JPJ or whether that's Darius Slay or Jalen Ramsey or whoever it is, I don't think the Jets have enough star power to get past our defense. So put up a few points on the board, and I think we can get this W.
Yeah, and I was laughing pretty hard there because I saw a tweet this week, like yesterday, that was like, man, I'm so excited for the Steelers season. That first drive 3-and-out's gonna hit like
Oh,
crazy. Yeah, and I just thought that was pretty funny because you're
Sure
right.
it wasn't me that tweeted that?
It might have been a burner account. Yeah, I mean everything you said, I like. I think this game is a really interesting game to start out with. I think it's a good game because it could get us off to a good start, obviously, but I think the Jets are going to try to run the ball, right? It's a Justin Fields led offense. He's not that great of a passer as we saw last year, as at least the Steelers told us. And they like Breece Hall. They have a better offensive line this year. And what was our weakness last year? It was defending the run. And I think it's a really good test to see have we improved or not. And I think that's going to make or break this game. Can we stop the run? Because like you said, I think we can line up man to man and stop their guys. All they have is Garrett Wilson. So. I do think we did improve our run defense. I think Jalen Ramsey played a big part. Will play a big part. Derek Harmon not being there will hurt, but I think we'll be better. And I'm going to pick us to win. It's crazy. This over-under's 38.5, which for a Steeler game,
implied score like 21-18, I think.
Right, something like that. And for a Steeler game, maybe it's not that crazy, but I do think that that it's going to fly over. It's going to go over, and I think it's going to be the Steelers. 27-17.
27, two scores we win by.
Two scores. I think we win comfortably.
Capped off with a Chris Boswell 59-yard field goal.
Well, in that scenario, he wouldn't have to kick it, but yeah, I'm in.
Maybe at the end of the first half.
There you go. I'll take that. And I guess my other thing will be, so you said bold prediction, I think earlier, if you want to stick by this or not. Darnell Washington TD.
Darnell Washington gets a touchdown. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's a revenge game, right? I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers.
There's his other Achilles.
Oh, why would you even say that? I'm going to go with...
Got to get it out. Got to get it out now.
I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers 3 pass touchdowns.
Wow. Does your math work out? 21. So we're getting 2 field goals and 3 passing touchdowns.
Yep. The maths... I think we're going to come out with an emphasis. Go ahead.
We'll close out here, but what are your odds on Rodgers at 3 touchdowns? That's got to be pretty darn high.
That's a passing props, passing TDs. 3 is plus 378.
Okay, that's not as high as I necessarily thought it would be.
No, but I mean that's still not bad.
Odds makers kind of feel like you're not.
It's not very bold. It's not very bold, but I will say if you look back at the Steelers last year, it's pretty darn bold.
Yeah, I mean, his over 1.5, so two plus is plus 132. So odds makers don't really think he's gonna even throw for
For two.
two touchdowns. But
Yep.
we'll see, man. It's a new era of the Steelers.
I'm
It's an
excited.
exciting time to be a fan. Hopefully, we aren't disappointed after week one, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, we'll be here win or lose to break it down and to talk through things. So
And
excited.
housekeeping, this is it. We won't be back till after
Yeah,
week one.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why we did the preview. We're excited to get the season started and talk after that.
for sure. Good little maybe 12-day break or so if our
Yeah.
math works out, and we'll be here in the second week of September to talk about the Steelers and the Jets.
It's
And
awesome
then
it's
we go
here.
ahead and we move right on to previewing the first home game of the year against the Seattle Seahawks. So
Yeah, it's
lots of
exciting.
exciting stuff to talk about.
Yep, I'm
Cool.
excited.
Well, thanks everyone for listening and watching. We appreciate it, and hope you all have a good one.
Thanks, everyone. Peace.